Welcome to Brotosynthesis. I am Steve.
And I am Casey.
And we are just two Charm City boys and business partners cutting it up about life, sports, and anything that interests us. How you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing all right, Steve. I'm doing all right. Been a great week in Baltimore. How you doing?
Fantastic. I got out on one of our magical unis this past week.
Ooh, where'd you go?
I know it's not your favorite. You call it the snobby one. Mount Pleasant is looking luscious out there. They just put in a driving range for the kids. The course is looking great. The greens are pristine. They've rebuilt some of the tee boxes. Joe and the boys over there, they really got something great going on. I love Mount Pleasant. It's also the closest one to my house. I had a great round. So
nice. You had a great round?
I had a great round at Mount Pleasant.
Whew. I had a decent round. I went to Timbers of Troy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of
Troy,
swaggy,
very pretentious. But I was with a dude. He works in construction, like business development. So we definitely took Dundalk into Troy. I guess it was like on the first tee box. It was like, all right, this is a best ball tournament, right? I swear to God, it was all of a sudden after 4 drives, it was a competition because everybody went to the woods and we ended up just drinking, smoking, having a good old time.
Yeah. I have you in my head driving up the fairway on like a wooden horse, you know, ready to storm the castles of the timbers of Troy.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It was a horse-drawn golf cart.
Okay.
Speaking of horses,
it's very apropos for our episode today. As always in springtime in Baltimore, there's a particular Maryland event that is on everybody's hearts and everybody's minds. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But, the world is in bloom. Flowers are coming up.
Yes.
If you're planting your garden, now is the time to get those seedlings in because it's warm, it's raining, and it is time to grow those summer tomatoes, that
100%.
summer corn, all these other luscious plants. And Casey is the green thumb between the two of us. I know he was excited. Tell him about the Flower Mart? You got to attend for the first time?
Yeah, man. We're many faceted here at Brotosynthesis. Well-rounded, eclectic, whatever you want it to be, whatever word you want to describe, having a bunch of hobbies and not being scared to throw a little money down on them. But this weekend was the, I don't know, however manyth annual Flower Mart in Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
This thing has been around since 1911.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, that's 100 and some odd years. It's more math than I can do, Steve. But I was really excited because the past couple years, like I lived in Austin, as you know, for a long time. And when we moved back was like, I got into plants very lightly in Austin. We got gifted a yucca tree and it was like this one thing that I took care of. And then when we got back home, it just kind of exploded into a full-blown hobby for me. But for the past 3 years, I hadn't been able to go to the Flower Mart. And I was really excited. So this Friday, it's a Friday and Saturday thing. Interesting.
Yeah, it's it's truly like a garden festival that they've been doing in Mount Vernon forever.
Oh my gosh. It was started to do a couple things for the city. It was started by like the Women's League or something like that, some female forward-thinking organization in 1911. They were like, the Titanic's coming. We should get some flowers ready. Just kidding.
Are you serious?
That was very absolutely not.
No, but it was a Titanic. Was it a celebration of the Titanic?
No,
okay,
it was 1911.
That would be fucked up.
Yeah, it was definitely. That was my fucked up joke. Hope it lands for no one.
Nothing but black roses, apparently.
Yeah, very, very morbid first festival. No, so it was started it was started to try to beautify Baltimore. So even back in 1911, apparently there were a few vacant lots in Baltimore.
Well, it was a very industrial town. We had a big port, we believe it or not, and people are gonna balk when I say this, but I challenge you to do your research. And there's a great book called Not in My Neighborhood that really lays out the development of each neighborhood in the city of Baltimore, both culturally and economically. It's a really, really fascinating book. But at the turn of the 1900s, Baltimore was the pinnacle of the economy of the United States. And I know that sounds crazy to people.
Nah, man.
But Park Avenue in Bolton Hill was at one point the richest street in all of America, New York included. There were multiple dignitaries and heads of state from other countries, former presidents that lived in this area, huge shipping port, a lot of trade, a lot of commerce coming out of Baltimore. Bethlehem Steel, obviously had a deep roots here. And so I can understand why it needed a little bit of beautification.
Oh, yeah.
But it also maybe speaks to, that was a time of industrialization for a lot of cities, but it speaks to the wealth that there even was
in like the early 1900s.
That there was a local social group
yeah.
saying we need to have a flower market to beautify this city.
It wasn't only flowers. It was also like food staples.
Like
so
produce.
like,
Okay.
or like stuff you would plant. So like, yes, produce, but like, I don't know, you would get the starter plants. I mean, at least that's how it is now. So it encouraged not only like planting plants for beauty's sake, but also, growing your own food.
Self-sustaining culture.
It's so crazy because 100 change years later, now it's like the millennial dream to get a couple acres and have your, like
it's very
little garden.
Or just very posh to participate in a community garden in whatever city you live in. So
absolutely. And so, all that, I'm sure over the course of this podcast, we are going to get into why I love to plant and like how beneficial it is for my mental health, and maybe even why mental health got a little crazy for me in the first place. But this one for me was really awesome because, like I said, I hadn't been able to go for all the time that I'd been back in Baltimore. So I was super stoked. I actually took off work on Friday so that I could go at a time when it wasn't busy.
Yeah.
And honestly,
really
probably biggest mistake of first flower market experience.
What do you mean?
Because, dude, I spent, I'm not even going to say the amount, but in 20 minutes, I had like a bucket full of plants, and my wife was like,
we need to slow down.
Like this kid is, I literally went up to, so we had two friends with us, a woman and her partner, and I met her partner a couple times. I was so excited about the plants. I walked up to this dude, was like, "Hey man, what's up? My name's Casey. Nice to meet you." And then I basically turned around and went back to the other flower places. It was just like, I don't even know you like that.
I've heard of the people that say they don't like other people, just other dogs. I mean, you're kind of espousing some of that with the plants. Prioritize plants over people. That kind of thing.
Well, I mean, when the situation fits, right? Like, just like there's a time for natural light, there's also.
I'm sure he's a great guy, but you're not. Yeah, I mean, you two aren't going to be.
That guy was a rocket. I'm not going to lie. Like what I called him, he was a beautiful man. But props to Amanda's friend for finding that one.
Bagging that one. Good for her.
Yeah, I talked to him for 3 minutes and then got the hell out of the flower mart because I'm not even kidding. I donated money to like 2 charities, bought like 5 little plants and a few big plants, and all of a sudden I'm like hundreds of dollars deep. Feels like a bad weekend on DraftKings. But if you only had hotlines for your flower
purchasing needs,
for my planting needs.
Look, I'll say this: not only is that making me think of an 8-year-old me at the candy kitchen, just grabbing up wax bottles and anything else my grubby little hands could get that was filled with sugar. I mean, that's how I'm imagining you running through this plant mart, just picking out like all these goodies.
I'm curious because one other thing about the flower mart that most people that go there know, but like where the lemon peppermint stick came from.
Oh, dude.
Supposedly urban legend, but supposedly flower mart.
The people don't know this. So hold on, we got to pause because it is a dream of mine. It's a dream of mine. And guys, we didn't even know we were going to get into this topic. I'm so happy you introduced this. We're going to be, a lot of this show is going to be sharing with the world these Maryland specific and Baltimore specific traditions and things that are really special to us. And I can go all day. Smith Island cake, snowballs, peppermint lemons, crushes, these things that are quintessential Baltimore and have been staples of our lives, but we would love to share with more of you out there. I do wonder if the roots of this festival are also kind of grown out of the open air food markets that are so quintessential to a lot of cities, but especially Baltimore. Baltimore has had for the longest time the oldest operational open air food market in the country, and has about 5 of them that are from about the same era as the Boston market, famously up in Boston. Lexington Market, Broad Street Market, a bunch of other
Broadway
ones. Cross Street Market.
Man, there's so many. It's crazy.
So the idea of having like fresh produce and plant pods and things to cultivate and sustain your own life, there seems that there was that culture already existing here back in as late as the 1800s, and it's great that this group made it more of like a festival-based thing to beautify Baltimore. I love that.
It's so now it's run by a different group. It's run by like the Mount Vernon Conservancy. So they brought in a ton of nonprofits. They brought in a ton of classes and food vendors, and really made it into like an awesome little festival. It was a great experience. And honestly, I didn't get to have a lemon peppermint stick, but this year we're probably still going to have lemon peppermint sticks again at the studio's anniversary party. So we had them last year. Little do y'all know, I own a meditation studio outside of here with my wife. And for our grand opening last year, our featured thing to introduce the Sedona house to Fells Point was lemon peppermint.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Because we opened in May. It was just such a good time. It was awesome.
I'm sure there are more than a few transplants that happen to live in Fells. They're like, what the fuck is this? So if you're out there and you're like, what are they fucking talking about? It literally is as simple as it sounds. You take a lemon, you chop the top off of it. You get one of those real thick, chalky peppermint sticks.
Yeah, it's got to be chalky,
and
not the Christmas time ones.
It has kind of like the ones that you'd get when you're walking out of like a Golden Corral as like a free
or like you get a sushi spot. They usually have something small like that.
So it's got to be chalky. And what you're going to do is you're going to put it right into the center of the lemon. You're kind of just screw it down into there. And what will happen is the natural acid of the lemon will start eating away at the peppermint stick and turning it into just a straw, like a ready-made natural straw. And what you do is you suck on the peppermint stick. It draws the citrus of the lemon up through the peppermint. It mixes together and creates a sweet and refreshing, minty summertime snack. It's healthy. It's addictive. You know, once you have one, you got to have 100. They're cheap. They're easy. It is a Baltimore summertime delight. And it has been a dream of mine for years to open up a vendor spot outside of Camden Yards called Steve O's Original Peppermint Lemon and just sell like bottled water, peanuts, and 2 for $1 peppermint lemons.
We're accepting sponsors now to get this off the ground.
Come on,
we're gonna do this year for sure.
Let's get this.
We should make this happen at the yard at some point. I mean, dude, we could work a shift at the yard. Little did you know, this show is about history. It's about science. It's about sales. It's about bartending. It's about everything in between, dude.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, we would rock off some lemon pepper.
We got a lot to synthesize on too.
100%, 100%. So all in all, it was an amazing time. I highly encourage you, anyone who's in Baltimore around early May, to look into the Flower Mart and show up. And if you're not here, plant a flower. Go to your local plant shop. Get a pot. Get a little plant that's easy to take care of and just see how it impacts your mind. Because it is a beautiful thing to like watch something grow over time. It gives you incredible perspective. I know like 27-year-old me, 28, 29-year-old me, I wanted everything and I wanted to get promoted every 2-3 fucking months. And if I didn't get promoted that fast, I thought there was something wrong with me, right? I didn't understand time and things taking their time. And that's really what planting and like the Flower Mart, all this stuff has really helped me with. Just have like a little perspective that not everything needs to happen right now. And it's okay if it doesn't.
Yeah. And the patience of cultivating something.
God, we're dropping some sentiments here.
If you need a little bit of inspiration, you know, if you're excited about the spring season, or maybe you're not somebody that has a green thumb, but thinking about getting into a new hobby, if you need some inspiration, look no further than one of the quintessential Maryland flowers, the black-eyed Susie. And I bring up that plant because, as I teased earlier in the show, we are coming up on one of the most special events in the state of Maryland every single year, something that is near and dear to my heart: the running of the Preakness Stakes at Pimlico Racetrack in Northeast Baltimore. And my friends, actually Northwest Baltimore. My friends, I got to tell you, if you have never heard of the Preakness, I don't know where you must have been under a rock or asleep. It is the second leg of the Triple Crown. You know, obviously the first is the Kentucky Derby that was just run last week, and we had Sovereignty beat out the favorite Journalism. There's definitely some metaphor in there that concerns me about the death of journalism and media and questionable facts, but we're not going to get into that today.
Who's to say?
The second leg of the Triple Crown is always the Preakness, and it's the third week of May every year in Baltimore. And this is a very special year, Casey. This is the 150th running of the Preakness Stakes at Pimlico Racetrack. This is so personal. If you're from Baltimore, you know, they have threatened kind of moving this race over time. The owners of the actual track have not done a lot to to maintain it and keep keep it up to date for modern spectators with the facilities and gambling windows. But it is just one of those things that has this nostalgic old Baltimore flair to it.
Yeah,
it's right off of Northern Parkway, near Mount Sinai Hospital, right off 83, the JFX, Jones Falls Expressway, that runs down into the city. And for anybody that's lived in any of the North Central districts or just lived in Baltimore City, you can feel the buzz come May 1st when the sun's out and the Kentucky Derby runs. And we know that the entire world of horse racing and gambling and
yeah, I'm like, you're kind of burying the real fun part.
And we're going to get to that.
Oh, I'm so excited.
All of this is about to descend upon Baltimore. The next 3 weeks leading up to this race are really special. There are races almost every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday leading up to the actual Preakness weekend. Ton of stuff you can gamble on. There are concerts. There are events. It all kicks off the Friday before Preakness with the Black Eyed Susie Festival.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I mentioned the Black Eyed Susie flower, because much like at the Kentucky Derby, where the winning horse gets the chain of roses to signify their win at the Derby, winning the Preakness Stakes comes with a ring of Black Eyed Susies.
Okay.
The yellow petaled flowers with the black centers.
Little baby sunflower looking things.
And this was not a mistake. The reason they picked this flower is because it matches the colors of the Maryland flag. The black.
Oh, okay.
The black and yellow contrast of the Maryland flag. So it is a symbolic, homage to our great state flag. And it's really important. The oldest, historically, the oldest sporting event in our country is the Triple Crown. Right?
Really?
Now,
really?
The Kentucky Derby is older as an individual race, but the Triple Crown in total is the oldest sporting event in the entire country. It predates things like baseball. It predates so many other sports, and it has just been part of American culture with huge horses like Secretariat and Seabiscuit.
Name 5 more.
War Admiral. That's 3.
No. 5 more. 8 total.
Big Joe. I can do this. Hurricane Hannah. Is that what it is? Hurricane Hannah. Corkscrew. I could just be making all these up. We should have another episode where we just play the game. Is this the name of a horse, or is this the name of an NFL draft pick?
Do you think that this is a random question, don't go down a rabbit hole on it, but do you think that horse racing or the Triple Crown is the oldest sport because of the influence of the British on the development of America?
That's a great question. I don't think so, just because professional horse racing really was popularized in the mid 1800s, and like this race obviously comes out of the 1870s. But to your point, the oldest horse races in the world are steeplechases, and that is
that's
very
a Hunt Valley thing for sure.
Yeah, but that started in the UK, so that does have British roots, and we still have where Casey and I live. We live in Baltimore City, but just outside of Baltimore, just north of the city, and just south of the city, in the Upper Marlboro area, that is horse country.
Oh yeah,
there are still year-round major horse racing events. Casey just alluded to the steeplechase, which is more of a long distance endurance sort of horse race that comes with obstacles. So it's not what we think of as like a flat track where you're just racing for speed.
For people that really love horses.
Yeah.
Because they're long.
They do love it. They do love it. But
I can't get into it. But
the two things about all of these horse races, and particularly about the Preakness, that I think everybody can get behind is, number one, there's gambling. There's fun and games where you can make a silly bet and potentially get a huge return. And to me, having a little bit of skin in the game always makes sports a little bit more fun for entertainment purposes only, right?
Yeah.
And then the second thing is it's always a party. You look at the Kentucky Derby with everybody dressing up in their beautiful sundresses and their goofy hats and their nice seersucker suits. Well, it's no different at the Preakness.
Oh, man.
It is an event where you step out for spring and you show off your outfits, your class, and who you are as a high roller in a party setting. It is the social event to set the summer.
Oh boy, I don't know what I would wear to Preakness, but it would probably be along the lines of what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, I love that for you.
I don't want to step out like.
I love that
personally.
For you.
I'm like, not my. That on a hot day, not my thing. But where you win me is I did go to horse track in Kentucky, and dresses and beautiful people. I love that shit.
It's incredible.
I didn't dress up. I was a spectator of it all, but it was amazing.
And nobody even cares about the horse race.
Do you have a favorite like thing that you're or an event this year? Because when I was looking at my phone earlier, I was like, I'm super excited about the concerts always. Like I want to know. So I was checking out the lineup. I'm curious if you have any people that you're interested in seeing, or just in general events you're looking at.
Not in particular. And what Casey's alluding to is, Preakness, even more so than the other two legs of the Triple Crown, the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont Stakes, is really it really caters to more of like the blue collar working man's people party.
Baltimore, you got to keep it hood. Let's go. Let's have a time.
We used to always joke that the classy people have to stay on the outskirts, right? They stay in the party boxes and the nice.
You're not welcome.
The real people are in the infield.
You
right?
ain't lying.
We're down in the mud. They put these giant stages and beer and alcohol tents and food tents and gambling tents right in the infield, and so you can go in there and just really go crazy, and you don't need to be dressed in one of these nice outfits. So I am always excited for that. I haven't seen the lineup this year. Who do you know? Who's playing?
I mean, I was just looking at a couple things, but I'm not going to say everyone. I'm just going to say the only person that I saw that's performing is Jadakiss.
Oh, hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Jadakiss still with us?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that name in
that rasp
15
is
years.
never leaving, bro.
God damn. All right. Well, now I am excited.
So he's going to be at one of the, he's going to be at Pier 6.
Oh, okay.
So
for one of the pregame parties.
Yeah, for whatever. Yeah, exactly. One of the concerts it's like associated with.
A lot of times they'll give you discounts to those shows if you have a ticket.
Yeah, like there's stuff all over the city that happens.
Yeah, it becomes a whole party.
That was the one name I was like, oh man, I might be smoking a blunt with my lady and going down to see Jada. Let's go.
We need to coordinate because I think Anna would really enjoy that as well.
Gosh, we should
blunt? Well, I mean, a blunt and Jadakiss.
Yeah,
those two together.
Same.
It used to be a tradition, not anymore, that the only people that would perform in the infield during Preakness Saturday were Maryland-based bands. So I saw Good Charlotte perform there.
Nice.
Trampled by Turtles perform there.
Do you think Turnstile? I bet Turnstile's performing.
Turnstile has absolutely played at Preakness before. I've seen Turnstile
this weekend at Johns Hopkins.
Oh man,
healthcare for the homeless.
I wonder if they're going to stick around, and
that's what I was thinking. I
bet they will.
Maybe they're in town for this.
I bet they will.
Nice.
I saw. It's funny. Before Post Malone's first album came out, I saw him open up for another act there. I've seen some great acts in the infield. I've had some. Man, I'm a Preakness veteran, so my move outfit wise is you got to wear a bow tie, and it's got to be a real bow tie. That's kind of my standard I set for myself. I encourage others to follow suit, even if you're not going to really
Will you tie my tie?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Yeah, even if you're not going to do the full seersucker suit, what I like to do is I go with a men's romper, a little seersucker, cool men's romper, shorts, and a button-up, short sleeve button-up all in one. Throw the bow tie on, and I'm good to go. Do I own a men's romper?
Do you own more than one?
Yeah, and they're all for Preakness.
That's what I'm saying.
I have a Preakness collection.
I would borrow someone's nice clothes in order to Preakness.
I have an Orioles one, I have a seersucker one, and I have a Maryland flag one. And they're all deployed specifically for Preakness. I don't wear these outfits on regular occasions.
Yeah, they're costumes for adults. It's
exactly.
Just a different day that you can do Halloween.
You
read me loud more guardrails.
Yeah, and it is also important if you don't own a pair of Ray-Bans, just invest or get a fake one. It really feels like you need to exude some 50s style class.
Yeah,
for this
well, you got to get a chain for those though, because in the infield anything can happen.
What do they call those?
I don't know. Like for your spectacles or whatever.
Yeah, the thing that you can.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. I'm not an engineer or anything, but
I don't know. Somebody help me out.
Amazon that thing. Chain for sunglasses. That's what I call it. But
it is important because it is
wild.
It's pure debauchery.
Yeah, like in the best,
pure debauchery,
just most wonderful way. Like worth the hangover. Take Monday off. Like,
oh my god,
it's gonna be a 2-day banger. That's it.
I don't want to share too much, but I may just some quick rundowns on Preakness. I was there the year that we had record rainfalls leading up to Preakness, and then we woke up Preakness morning and it was sunny blue skies and 70 degrees, but the entire infield was about 5 feet deep of a fucking mud pool.
Oh man.
And everybody embraced it. People were mud wrestling all over the infield, and it was to the point where there would be like the king of the mud pit, and like he would win his wrestling match. There were people refereeing. They'd call other people out. These huge circles were forming. It was honestly like some type of like Ragnarok.
Bro, like HF Festival meets. You know what
it was crazy. Like, I thought we had crash landed on another planet. It was so
some
cool.
Mad Max shit. I love that.
I had my rain boots on that day, and they go up to just below my knee, and it was so deep in mud that as I would step, some of these mud pits would fill up over the rain boots and deep into the shoes. By an hour in, nobody cared anymore. People were just having the time of their lives.
You were literally just stepping in big mud puddles like an 8-year-old and loving it.
Oh, it was incredible.
You were.
It was incredible. So not every year's like that. I will say springtime, especially in Baltimore, it's hit or miss. You're either going to get the most beautiful day you've ever seen, or you're going to get like torrential, scary rain, like wind howling. Is this a hurricane?
Dog up on your lap. Am I going to die tonight?
Lightning, because the humidity is crazy here in the spring and into the summer. So fingers crossed, we get great weather for Preakness. But as we always say, it's a Preakness tradition. If it rains, I'm happy because that means the assholes will stay home. The only people who show up to a rainy Preakness Saturday are the people that want to be there, want to have a good time. So
hell yeah.
I always welcome rain.
They embrace it too. Like if you go out and rain, it reminds me of Austin City Limits Music Festival, right? Like we used to live right next to the park where they did ACL in Austin, and man, if it rained, we would walk the block and a half just in some basically bare feet, as little as possible, and have a fucking time there, dude. Absolutely. And Preakness is no different. It's just a little bit more Baltimore. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. It's gritty. And the thing I love about the city is like you never really leave the city here. You know what I mean? Like when you're in other places, like there's rich neighborhoods, there's poor neighborhoods, and don't get me wrong, there's those in Baltimore as well. But there's a lot more
that are smashed together.
Yeah, that just mix together and people live together.
I'm so happy you said that because nothing is a better representation of that than the Pimlico racetrack where the Preakness is run. On one side of the racetrack, literally on one side of the racetrack is Northern Parkway. And if you pull the collective income and property value of the neighborhood that is north of that road line, it would astound you. Okay. That's the Mount Washington neighborhood. There are homes in the multi-millions of dollars, people that are captains of industry. Literally on just the other side of the racetrack is one of the, from a socioeconomic standpoint, most poor, destitute, and blight-ridden neighborhoods in our entire city. That is the gateway to Northwest Baltimore there. Yeah. And so it is truly a juxtaposition of two totally different ecosystems, and it comes together at this beautiful racetrack that accepts all. You want to wear a fucking sundress, drop your bankroll on some champagne, buy a suite out in the boxes and throw a little garden party. Good for you. If you want to cut it up in the mud with the rest of us, drink way too many Red Bull and vodkas in the Red Bull tent, listen to Post Malone scream into a microphone and just, do the porta pot run, then come on to the infield and we'll
Are you allowed to do that still?
So we're getting to that. I know we're going a little bit long today, but I'm just so excited about Preakness coming up. I'm going to tell my two favorite Preakness stories, and we'll touch on the porta pot run. Yeah. For those of you who aren't aware of that tradition,
because you're a little long-winded of a guy. And
I'm going to try. I'm trying to hunt it in. I'm going to try to hunt it in.
You're a storyteller. There's nothing wrong with that.
You sandbagging son of a bitch. She built for speed or for comfort. She's still in the house. Oh, you old sailor, you.
She's built for both.
Yes, she is. Preakness.
There we go.
I do love you. A couple last little things, and we'll wrap it up here. So if you are in town for the Preakness, but you're not sure if you want to go, okay, a couple quick things to consider. I will say, almost every Preakness I've ever gone to, I've got a ticket the morning of for like either no money or for free.
Oh, I thought you meant like a ticket from a cop. Like I will say that it no matter what happens, I'm getting a cop.
If you don't have a ticket to this event, let me tell you, just go to the racetrack and stand in line, and a ticket will find you. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
There's always there are no seats in the infield. There isn't a number that they're clicking. They will let everybody in. Just wait for the first drunk person to wander out and say, hey, can I buy your ticket from you for $10? You'll walk right back in behind them. So that's the first thing. If you're interested in going, very easy to get tickets. Just come to Baltimore, ask around town. The second thing to know is when the race ends, do not go running for a ride. You will not get one, okay? It is notoriously a hard track to get in and out of. You can't get Ubers. You can't get taxis. Your two options are this. Stay in the infield and enjoy your evening, right? Party, make it a whole day thing. Really, let it simmer. The bands play till late. There's no reason to leave.
That's what horse races are,
right?
Though.
And there are races all day.
Yeah,
there are races all day.
But what people need to know is a race is like a couple minutes.
Yeah, about 3 to 5 minutes.
And
most.
There's some time in between every one. So there's a lot of ebb and flow in a horse race day, right? I mean, obviously, if you're in the infield, there can always be flow of drinks. But, just keep in mind.
When the main race ends, though, there is a flood out. It's very
100%.
difficult. I have tried to walk home from Pimlico.
That's scary.
To my house in Mount Washington at the time. And that alone took me like an hour and a half to get all the way down. That big hill, that big giant fucking hill coming down from Sinai Hospital. I mean, they didn't name it Sinai for no reason, as in Mount Sinai, as
it's up there
where we got the 10 commandments, people. It was a fucking mountain. Okay. Yeah. They named it that for a reason. And then
it also has some religious affiliation.
The last thing that you need to know is if you do go to Preakness, or if you're just going to observe, right? Watch it on TV, enjoy some time here in Baltimore in your own city, make a black-eyed Susie. It's a delicious cocktail. It, to me, even more so than a crush, is a cocktail that says to me, summer has started.
Can you, we're not, shout out to the Bartender Rant podcast, but we are not becoming that podcast. I am curious.
I don't even know what podcast you're talking about.
What is in a black-eyed Susie? Because I always, like, my summertime drink that I think of is mint julep. You know what I mean?
and so that's the official drink of the Kentucky Derby.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it does have great roots here. It's a very, very easy cocktail to make, the black-eyed Susie, and as I'm sure you can imagine, it mimics the actual flower, right? Black pit and yellow yellow leaves. So it's very simple. Black-eyed Susie recipe is going to be vodka and orange juice. There is a little bit of whiskey and rum sometimes mixed in. It definitely varies. So usually the times I've made it, it's split vodka and bourbon. So it's half and half of each. You put a little peach schnapps in and a little bit of orange juice, and you're off and running. So it has a little bit of those like Sex on the Beach qualities, because you got the orange juice and the peach schnapps.
Vibes, some citrus vibes. Yeah,
it's but look, it's if you can get a fresh squeeze run, because a lot, in Maryland we always have the juicer for our orange crushes. If you can get a fresh squeeze one, great. But yeah, it's just a mix of multiple alcohols, so it's really going to get you going. You need that peach schnapps to give it a little bit of bright kind of fruitiness to it, and then the fresh squeezed orange juice, top of the cherry, top of the lime. Some people will hit it with a splash of cranberry juice. It's not personally for me.
It's to keep you regular down with the UTIs, right? Like
absolutely.
You're thinking about tomorrow when you put cranberry juice in your black-eyed Susie.
We've already gone over the fact that there may be mud in your snatch if you went to this event, so we don't need any.
There's going to be mud in your trousers if you go.
We don't need any UTIs. All right, so this brings me to my two favorite stories about Preakness.
Okay.
That I ever have. So the first one, Casey alluded to, was the porta pot run.
Yes.
This is something that has come and gone over the years. It used to be a tradition at Preakness. Officially speaking, the porta pot run does not happen anymore.
Officially
speaking. That being said, I have seen it happen in recent years in the parking lot just outside of the track. And there were allegations that some people tried to do it kind of organically last year in the infield, were kicked out and removed by police, but attempted to kind of revitalize it.
All I'm gonna say is, if you do the porta pot run in the parking lot, like, that's dedication. Because the parking lot, by nature of the parking lot, is asphalt or cement.
Oh, it's grass.
Oh, okay. I was like,
it's like a field next to
it. I've obviously, people clearly I need to go, but
people do kind of tailgate it every now and then. But usually there's a giant, right where the entrance is to the infield, there's this giant line of porta pots. So I have seen personally people in the last 3 years doing the porta pot run in anticipation of even getting into the infield before they've started.
Have you done? They wanted to warm up their porta.
They wanted to warm up. They wanted to pregame it. They wanted to pregame it. So all right,
have you done it ever though?
So I participated in it because there's 2 sides to the event. It's not just the running of the porta pots.
Really?
Yeah, you don't.
I have no idea.
Okay, so the porta pot run was a tradition for years at Preakness, and the way that it would work is in the infield. It's basically a giant open field, and they put stages and they put vendor tents, but there would inevitably be at different places these huge porta pot stations.
Exactly.
20 or 30 porta pots in a row, looking like something Evel Knievel would jump over with his fucking motorcycle.
Yeah, so naturally, drunk people are going to want to do something.
Yeah, exactly. So it became a tradition that people would get up onto the top of the first porta pot and try to run from the starting porta pot to the end of the line of porta pots, running on the top of them.
Yeah.
And as people would do this, spectators would stand on each side and throw cans of beer at them to try to knock them off.
Oh my God.
And this was the tradition. So it was almost like a gauntlet. You had to try to run as fast as you could from beginning to end without getting slugged with like full cans of beer and getting ripped off the top of this. I have absolutely participated in the throwing of the cans of beer.
Well, everyone watching is then a participant because you got to keep your head on a swivel. Absolutely. If something misses the person, right?
I will say this. There aren't a lot of quarterbacks out there and everybody's drunk. So there's not a lot of accuracy. I've definitely seen people get hit. I've seen people take a few to the dome, one to the dome and get knocked off or just get off balance and fall. But usually they pop right back up. Everybody's in good fun. I think the reason they shut it down is they don't want people throwing like full cans of beer and smacking somebody in the noodle, cracking somebody's head open.
Dude.
But my personal story with the porta pot run is the very first Preakness I ever went to in my entire life. I got invited by a girl I was dating at the time. She bought us tickets. She had been going forever. She had, even when she was a kid, her parents would take her. So this was like kind of a family tradition. And we go, and she's telling me the week up to this about the porta pot run. I just don't believe it. I'm like, there's just no way this is a thing.
Had a very sheltered upbringing.
It can't be real. And I get there, and sure enough, there's a line of porta pots. There's a line of people ready to get up and top on them and do the run. And I'm like, so you're telling me when they get up there, I can just take this can of beer and fucking rock this guy and try to knock him off? Almost like it's almost like
American Gladiator.
Yeah, like
style,
a whack-a-mole sort of thing, right? And she's like, yeah, of course. Everybody's going to do it.
Ninja Warrior.
And I start looking around, and people are like getting prepared. People are holding like snowball, like
There's
Buddy
like
the
a
Elf.
run on the bar.
Like, I was like, what is going on? So I'm not going to lie. This is maybe one of the reasons I've fallen in love with this event. I stood pretty close. I don't have a great arm. I'm not particularly accurate. I nailed this motherfucker right in the neck, right in the neck. And he like wobbled and like kind of bent down and caught his balance and kept going. But it was exhilarating to hoist that natty light through the air and just hear it goes thunk, like right into the side of this cat's neck. I was proud of him. He didn't get knocked off kilter, but what an amazing experience.
War was always exhilarating for the archers until they stormed the fucking wall.
Hey, there's something about running in the midst of adversity that really has a metaphor to the race itself. So,
for sure.
It does.
I'm a horse.
Now, my only other Preakness story is, I went one year, got way too ripped up, and came home and found myself, in that kind of brownout state where, I'm coming in, coming out, because I had so much fun at Preakness. And, I found myself, kind of coming to in my boxer shorts in my kitchen, cooking a grilled cheese sandwich at like 2:00 in the morning.
Respect.
And realizing, in that moment, oh my God, I've come to, how did I get home? Right? Do I have my wallet? Do I have my keys? Do I have my phone? I, did a cursory research around and came to find that I had misplaced my cell phone and my wallet.
And clothes?
No. I checked through the clothes that I wanted. I had my keys. I got into the house. I'd gotten a ride, I guess, from a taxi, but I must have left, dropped the wallet or the phone at some point in the infield or in the taxi, whatever.
Drunk guys doing drunk things, man.
So I'm sitting there sadly eating a grilled cheese sandwich in the dark in the kitchen, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning in my boxers. And I just have this overwhelming sense of frustration. And I decide for the very first time and the only time in my life to punch the wall in front of me. I was living in a Baltimore row home at the time. I don't know if you know what the walls are made out of, but they're pretty famously made out of bricks. So when I punched that wall, I shattered the base of my hand in about 11 pieces and got what they call a boxer fracture.
Oh, Steve.
Now this is where the story goes from good to great.
Oh my God.
The story really goes from good to great. I was so intensely drunk that I could feel the pain, but I didn't realize how bad it truly was at that time. And after eating my delicious grilled cheese sandwich, I wandered back up to my room, laid down on my bed, and went to sleep.
Oh, you woke up with like club hand or some shit?
I woke up the next day. I could not even see my fingers. The entire thing was purple. It looked like a club. I couldn't move anything. I was in so much pain. And I'm just sitting, again, I'm hungover. I don't have my phone. I look at my alarm clock and I'm like, oh, fuck. I need to be at work.
I got to work the brunch shift
in an hour. I'm working a double at Ocean. I'm working a Sunday. I'm working a Sunday double at Ocean.
Oh, the brunch, the kids, the syrup.
Oh my
gosh. And everyone during brunch wants a coffee, an orange juice, an apple juice, and a water.
I can't call the bar because I don't have a phone. My roommates who are bartenders, they're all at their respective bars already. Okay.
Oh,
so I get in my car. I rush to patient first in Towson. And I go in, I check myself in. And I'm like, I think I broke my hand. And they're like, yeah, you definitely did. Pretty much take a number, take a seat. And I'm sitting there for about 30, 45 minutes, hands throbbing. And I realize I'm not going to be seen by the time my shift starts. And I'm like, it's a long story, but at the time I wasn't really, I didn't have the luxury of losing that job. Right. And I also knew that it was the type of dive bar that they would fire me if I, even if I had a good excuse.
Yeah. And look, man, if you're going to do it one-handed, you're going to have to do it one-handed.
Exactly. So I walked up and they told me, yeah, you're not going to be seen for some time. We're pretty busy. There's a lot of, Preakness fallout that we're dealing with.
They really expect the crowds the day after Preakness.
So I was like, all right, man, you got time to nut up or shut up. So I walked across the street to the Walgreens. I bought a bag of popsicle sticks, a thing of duct tape, and an arm sling. And I made myself a little splint, duct taped the shit out of my hand, put it in a sling. And I bartended a double that day. I got off of work at 10:30 in the evening, only bartending with my left hand. Some of the best tips I've ever got in my entire life.
100%, dude. You're like, yeah,
I'm popping.
We're
Advil
only
like Tic
selling
Tacs.
cans today.
I'm popping Advil like Tic Tacs.
Cans and straight shots. That's all you get. I'm not shaking shit. I'm not putting a cocktail together. Hell no, I'm not stirring anything.
It was nuts. I went and got my hand, got a cast after that. The patient first. A couple days later, had surgery. Full dexterity, baby.
Yeah,
I'm good to go.
Typing away, 60 words a minute.
But I'll tell you, every time I look down at the scar on the bottom of my right hand, I think of one of the greatest events every year in Maryland. The running of the Preakness at Pimlico Racetrack.
We love it.
I sure do. Oh, buddy. I'm so excited for the spring.
It's been a good chat, man. It's been a good chat.
Anything else you want to share? Should we go? We should at least go to Jadakiss, but we need to talk about maybe going to Preakness. I'm not saying to do any.
I would go to Preakness over Jadakiss. Reason being, the older I get, like the more I'm like 8 p.m.'s more of an end time than a start time.
Preakness is an early.
Yeah, I'm like I love the thing during the day, so I think Preakness is going to be the year for me.
You got to get up, got to get there 8, 9 o'clock. I mean, it's really an all. It's, you want to be out in the sun in your. I want to get a buzz
that goes away by like 6 p.m.
You get the drill. Well, guys, this has been Brotosynthesis, episode 5. Are we already on episode 5?
We're on 5, man.
Holy shit. Cinco on Cinco de Mayo week. What a special time to record episode 5. Check in with the Preakness. Get your green thumbs out and start doing some gardening. It's good for the soul. It's good for the mind and the body as well.
Oh, yeah.
And until next time, we're still working on a catchphrase if you can help us with it.
Keep synthing, baby.
Keep synthing and keep checking out that Substack. We got a lot of cool stuff coming on there. And we appreciate all the support you guys are giving us. Until next time, we'll see you.